Hello again, everyone. I hope you have watched the number one video of this series, the part one of this series, in regards to depression and breathing. I hope I will call the video that so you will synchronize with what I just said. But if you have watched the part one of this two-part series, you're probably up to date in regards to what we're talking about, neuroplasticity and neuroscience of habits. And then we go on to see how it affects when we fall into a depression glitch and how important it is to get out of it as soon as possible, and some of the things that could help us get out of it. And remember, none of these discussions could be even nearly as helpful as your direct discussion with your GP or psychologist or psychotherapists. These are general informations, and for you, if you think you have a condition that needs to be discussed with your doctor, make sure you do that, because these are, again, for your general information and nothing more. This is a discussion that I'm having with you because I'm not a doctor. I have used my research in order to be able to discuss some things that could help us to better manage our anxieties and depression, and to be a little bit more informed and educated how we can help ourselves and to move on with more balance and regain our balance in our daily lives. So I want you to understand that if you feel depressed or if you have any such difficulties and challenges, nothing beats having a visit to your psychologist or doctor and then get proper care and supervision from them. Having said that, there are many reasons that depression appears in our lives. Sometimes it could be just momentarily, sometimes longer. But mostly it's anxiety and fear driven, and that anxiety and fear is because the brain's mandate is on negative thoughts. Brain is built to have gravitations and propensity towards negative events and negative things to your life. Always conjures up things that are alarming and negative to you, dangerous, things that are not your normal self, things that are not in your normal life, things that are not balanced in your life. Its job is to alarm you and give you awareness of the possibility of danger so you would be more alert so that wouldn't happen, so it can do its job by protecting you. The job of the brain is to protect you. How does it protect you? By constantly pointing out and scanning any negative possibilities in any aspects of your life. Anything. Food you want to eat, it could come to your mind that, it could be poisonous, be careful. What's the date? That's its job. Anything else is included in the same kind of a behavior. Anything else is included in the same kind of a behavior. For example, it tries to warn you about all kinds of intrusive thoughts, which none of them are true or have anything to do with you or your preference or your lifestyle or your inclination, but its job is to come up with those negativities and things that are not your normal self in order to alert you to be aware so it won't become a hazard to you to threaten anything in your life. Its job is a constant threatening system. That's the job of the brain. That's why anxiety and fear is constantly induced by our brain. But because we have an automatic system to notice it and then put it in the memory or take notice of it and then move on, that would be like an army moving through the battlefield, and the information comes from the headquarters that watch for that on your six, watch for that on your, different trajectories and different coordinations to keep them aware and informed so they could defend themselves. And then they get that information and then they move on their directive. That the brain is doing the same thing, gives you that information for you to know and then move on. But then sometimes if there is a malfunction in the brain to take these information more than what they are, information to protect you, data to protect you, and doesn't therefore inventory it and then get on with the normal day-to-day job, then it lingers in there and becomes the focal point of the brain. And that lingering creates a pathway for causing negative neuroplasticity and making that which was an information into a danger for you, and make you believe that that thing is more than information, and you just are actually that what the brain suggests. Is like the tank is moving through the battlefield and the information comes in, and instead of they just take that into consideration to protect themselves, they keep turning the tank and then start shooting and thinking that this thing is real, and just drive themselves crazy and just die out of fear. Pretty much. So that's why there are many components and many officers in the tank to take on the task of getting this information and deciding about it. Okay, I got the information and now it's all clear, go. But in our brain, it's only us that the brain tells you something negative, and you don't have that system automatically filing it and continuing on. Instead pays too much attention to it, to the point that it starts becoming part of the neuroplasticity and make you believe that what the brain conjured up, and it was meant to inform you, but it didn't get automatically shut down, and it kept on lingering and you thinking about it. And in example that Professor Feldman used in describing such events, he said it's like you go around a circle on a road which is a dusty road, and if you keep going around and around and around, continuing it, you eventually draw a certain kind of a imprint of your walkabout, a rut, that it becomes deeper and deeper the more you continuously, and the harder it gets for you to actually find the main road and get out of it, because you now have created these deep impressions and you're sinking with it. So something has to jolt you out of it. And in depression, that has many different reasons, and we're talking about this example of it. The scientists try to shock the brain to get it out of this continuous function of creating these rot and staying in it, to get it out of the main road. So they give it electrical shocks, or nowadays they have implants that goes into specific neurons and stimulates it to jolt the brain from its unintentional continuous rut in the same way of thinking and get them out of that mode. But as you know, when you're depressed, you're supposed to do something to get you out of that. And the longer you stay depressed, the deeper you get into it, and the more difficult it would be to actually want to do something else, because you're now through neuroplasticity, you've become really good at staying there and have lost all kind of other interest to do something about this condition, and you find it easier just to stay there, lay there and die, which is of course not the way to go, and people end up committing suicide and so on. So it is very important to be able to get yourself out of that depression mode as soon as possible, as soon as you're realizing it. Even if it's a mild depression, you can do things with it. These shocks and implants for the stimulation of the neurons, of course, in many different cases that is severe, scientists say it does its job and it's helpful. But the point here is we gotta have a way to get the brain to understand that it just needs to move on and not to start a groove in that depression mode. And for that, there is a direct connection with breathing, that we can use different kind of breathing to get ourselves out of that depression mode, meaning moving the brain, giving it a mandate to change its course and not stay in that mode and create a rut, and just instead to be able to do other things, giving it a chance to get out of that depression mood, to be able to get involved in positive activities, exercise, do something, and then bring about a different mode in its life. And that activity, that stimuli, is in breathing. Now, how does that happen is very simple. Breathing, there are two systems that the scientists have found out that is involved in the breathing mechanism. One is the main one, which is, I think it's called pre-Butzinger complex, which actually is involved in the rhythm of the normal breathing, the rhythm, the main part of the breathing, the long breathing rhythm that we have. And then there's another system that helps with the breathing, and that is called parafacial nuclei. Parafacial nuclei somehow allows us to be more engaged in the rhythm of the breathing, taking it somewhat out of that involuntarily mode and make it rather voluntarily and make changes to it. That ability, the scientists also say that these two systems that makes these rhythms possible, the breathing rhythms has direct effect with the rhythm of the brain and the effect of the brain on how it functions in many other aspects. So the breathing itself, it actually affects the brain to change, modify its course of actions and how it actually functions in different segments of the brain, because these particular stimuli are all over the brain, and not just for the breathing, but the breathing actually affects and influences other stimuli in the brain to function differently, so it changes the whole function of the brain in different ways. So one of the ways that this breathing can help the depression is when you use the parafacial nuclei system of breathing, and you use that to change your breathing system instead of normal up and down, like you go, because you have that capability. It's not just you can breathe only one type, breathe in, breathe out. That's the Pre-Butzinger complex system that does that. But in the using the other system, you can actually change your breathing rhythm. That change of breathing rhythm, it actually is like somewhat is being discussed as if it could lead to be same as the shocks that they give to the brain, not in the same amplitude, but in the same function, that could jolt the brain and give it a nudge to move out of that groove that is creating for itself. For example, try it right now. When you are, whatever you're doing, just take 2 short breaths up instead of one breathing, which supposedly this is the Pre-Butzinger complex system, but using the other system, parafacial nuclei, and then do a double breathing and then one breathe out. If you notice when you do that, automatically you have a calming effect. Something changes. And if you're depressed and you have anxiety and you do the same thing, it should have a similar effect to relieve your anxiety and help you to change the mood. And that gives you enough opening to suddenly get engaged in some positive functions, gives you the good start, so then you will go with the whole locomotive of the good start and then continue whatever it is that you started. Maybe interest in, I don't know, you want to cook, or you want to go run, or you want to play chess, or you want to write something, or learn something, or watch a movie, or discuss with a friend, or just leave your home and go shopping, or whatever it is. It gives you that jolt that is needed, the opening to get you out of that anxiety and depression mode, give you that moment and movement and encouragement to push you catapult you forward. So remember, breathing itself, it can kick the anxiety out for long enough for you to find something else to enjoy yourself and put that momentary mode behind you. That is why breathing plays a big role in our lives, and that's why when you do meditation through breathing style, I was going to be politically correct, not use the example kills 2 birds with 1 stone, because otherwise I'll be hearing it from the animal rights groups. So I don't know how to. Anyhow, it will help you to be able to do 2 things. One is when you use meditation through breathing exercises, which we have done this on this channel. You know, we have guided breathing exercise and meditation on this. You can search it and we have it on this channel. And you can do that. When you do meditation through breathing style, First of all, you're increasing the level of oxygen, which then of course it goes to, you got more oxygen to exchange all through your body and distribute it through your body, through capillaries and everything. And it gives lots of what the body needs to be balanced and feel good because of the long breathing. Secondly, and even if it's a short breathing, you will be focused on that mindful exercises. So in breathing exercise meditations, you're doing a few things. One, increasing the lung capacity, exercising the lungs. You're giving lots of oxygen and the oxygen that is needed. You're focusing on mindful exercises because you're focusing on the flow of the breath in, flow of the air in and out. So you're focused on that. And all of that causes GABA neurotransmitters to be increased by about 30%. Which is responsible for dealing with anxiety and depression, being anti-depression and anti-anxiety, the GABA neurotransmitters, and also is responsible to help you deal better and manage the intrusive thoughts. So this is a very important neurotransmitters, GABA neurotransmitters, which comes from meditation, which if you do the meditation through breathing exercise, not even helps with the GABA production, not even it helps with mindful exercises, it also helps you with giving that new motivation to get out of the low mood, the depression mood, and then kicks the anxiety away long enough for you to get engaged with more positive activities. So you can see this breathing as a direct influence to the brain, and when you bring calmness to the brain, it also affects the brain's function and the way it affects the other functions of the different parts of the brain, and that itself, it could be a positive change. So having said that, I urge you to learn a breathing exercise, breathing meditation, do breathing every day, not just because of the increase of oxygen, also because of exercising the lungs, and at the same time giving opportunity to the brain to secrete more beneficial neurotransmitters. And it's not just GABA, there's a lot more stuff, and brings the cortisol level down, and growth hormones increase, and serotonin and melatonin increases. So this meditation is very important, and if you do it breathing style meditation, it also gives you all the benefits that you want to get out of that anxiety mode and deal with depression and get engaged with exercises and all the good things that you can do to help yourself to regain your balance and continue life with more vigor and happiness and balance. Remember, if there is any more need for you to discuss with your doctor regarding depression, of course you do so. These are just for your general information, and it's not intended to cure or suggest anything to be the only thing that you should do to deal with such challenges of depression or anxiety. I look forward to talk to you again. Hope this was helpful to you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.